Tyrann Mathieu has been cut by the Arizona Cardinals. Where will he go? To be honest, I don't fully know. But I'm going to take a couple guesses because here are my top 5 places I would prefer to see Tyrann Mathieu go. And this is in no particular order. These are just what I think would be good for him and the team. On the list, we have San Francisco. Now, San Francisco is about to lose Eric Reed. Eric Reed is a very good free safety. He's a good center fielder. He makes plays. Well, Tyrann Mathieu has been an elite player since his rookie year. He's been pretty much dominating the NFC West at the free safety position. Second best right behind Earl Thomas. But this is a guy that can also play nickel if needed. He is a versatile player and will fit San Francisco's need, I think, a lot. And overall, what's one of the biggest things any coach will always say? You take from within your division. Make your division weaker and yourself stronger. It's a big reason why the Niners probably got Richard Sherman. It's a big reason why they have a good shot against Tyrann Mathieu. Up next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have some decent safeties, but they don't have that guy that can make the play to win the game. Tyrann Mathieu's proven he can do that. Byron Jones and Xavier Woods has not made that big play to win a game yet. And I can't blame them. They're not the best. I mean, Byron Jones was picked in the first round, I believe, a couple of years ago. And he was picked as a corner, so they moved him to safety. I don't know if he played safety at UConn as much, because I didn't follow college ball as much then. But he's a good player, just not elite. And the same thing goes. You can slot Mathieu over to the nickel if you need to. If you want to run Xavier Woods out there with Byron Jones. You got decent players. Why not get an elite player back there? Another team on the list is New England Patriots. New England got burned in the Super Bowl by Nick Foles. Nick Foles is in no mind of the imagination elite. He's a fringe starter is what I would call it. He's a starter on some teams without an elite quarterback. But he's a backup to a Carson Wentz, to a Tom Brady, to an Aaron Rodgers. He's a backup to that. I would argue that Nick could be Jameis Winston. He could compete with Jameis Winston for that job. But we're going to look at it this way as well. They had issues at the start of the season. And they went up against good teams and took it to them. They did a decent job in the second half against the Pittsburgh Steelers in stopping the pass. They did a good job when they needed to. But they shouldn't need to. Not every time should the defense have to make a play to keep them in the game when you have Tom Brady as quarterback because he's dishing out probably close to 40 points. In those tight games, they have failed this year. They would have lost to the Texans almost. Think about it. Deshaun Watson played horrible against the Bengals, then almost beat the New England Patriots on the road in New England. I don't care if it's the start of the season. I don't want any excuses. That was poor effort on their part, and I think Bill Belichick wants that player that he can slot in there and can make the plays. Devin McCourty's a little bit older. Maybe it's time to replace him. I don't know, but I would bet a good amount of money that New England is interested in Tyrann Mathieu. Up next, I'm going to say the Detroit Lions, and this is strictly because they need someone in that secondary to help Darius Slay. And I know Glover Quinn's a beast. He's probably one of the best safeties in the league. He's at the twilight of his career. If I were the Lions, I would start shopping Quinn and make a run at Mathieu so you know what the market is for Quinn. If you can get a good, decent amount for Quinn, I would say a third-round pick with his age, that's pretty decently. It'll most likely be a fourth. I do think you can make a big-time splash move. Matt Patricia, the former defensive coordinator of the Patriots, go get yourself a star defensive player. You can have Darius Slay and Tyrann Mathieu. And look, we don't have to necessarily get rid of Glover Quinn. You can slot him over to the other safety spot or just run 2 free safeties to cover the field. You don't necessarily have to get rid of Glover Quinn, but if you get the right deal, I'd recommend it. And finally, the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, they got rid of Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman. 2 kind of dominating locker room figures. And it split the locker room in half pretty much. That's why they lost a lot of games. Tyrann Mathieu, I don't believe, has had a single issue in the Cardinals locker room. There were a lot of questions mark entering his rookie year. He's wiped them away. He's been a clean player since. And he's really changed himself. I could see him fitting in with that Pete Carroll rah-rah mentality of players, 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 and doing a great job. And they have Earl Thomas, and I know so many people are thinking Earl's gone. I don't expect Earl to leave until his contract's up. I don't. Unless they get the goddamn kitchen sink, they're not getting rid of Earl Thomas. Get Tyrann Mathieu. Get a nickel back. Justin Coleman, he played phenomenal last year. They gave up Cassis Marsh for Justin Coleman. Coleman looked like a starter on an elite defense. He looked like that last year. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table this year. Tyrann Mathieu can take that nickel spot, immediately dominate, and they can slot him back to play safety if an injury happens. I mean, Cam Chancellor, the odds are looking like he's most likely to retire. You can get an elite safety in Tyrann Mathieu to replace him immediately. And the fans know what he can do. It's a divisional rival thing. You make your division weaker while you get stronger. They can take Tyrann Mathieu. You eliminate the Cardinals' free safety position. Unless they have something really good. I know they have Budda Baker, who looks like a nice young rising star. And Patrick Pearson, who is going to be exiting his prime here shortly. I'm very interested to see what the Cardinals do after this. But those were my 5 teams that I really think should make a push for Tyrann.